Following the dream's lead, on waking within the in-between, shared space, and choosing curiosity over control. Dream retelling. I wake up inside the dream in a place that feels like a blend of an open mic art cafe, a creative restaurant, and a homeless shelter. There's a lingering sense that the night before I had been sitting at a table with people, maybe even had a drink. I can still feel a faint buzz in my body, like the residue of social energy. As morning arrives, my first instinct is caretaking. I half expect my autistic son, who I used to care for on weekends, to need something, to make a sound or call out. Then I realize I don't need to respond to that role anymore. That responsibility isn't active right now. I hear another sound and think it might be my alarm, but when I look, it's an incoming call on my phone. I try to read the screen to see if it's important. I attempt to do something else on the phone, maybe purchase a subscription or access a plan, and suddenly the image from my phone flips up onto a shared screen in the room. I don't like that at all. I try to pull the image back down onto my phone using the cursor. As I do, it strikes me how strange this is. I'm making cursor-like movements on a mattress while asleep. I'm waking up from a dream and simultaneously doing digital work inside it. The overlap feels uncanny. On the small platform stage, a man sits on a chair playing guitar and singing. The song is gentle and surprisingly good, with lyrics about waking up. I wonder if it's too early for this, whether he's starting practice before people are ready, or if this is a subtle signal that it's time for those of us who slept there overnight to move on. I think it's probably around 7 a.m. and it feels like things usually wouldn't start until closer to 8. I get up from my mattress. I notice others doing the same, rolling up or stacking their bedding. One man starts advocating that we all pause and share our takeaways from the night, maybe even our dreams. The suggestion hangs awkwardly in the air. Most people, including me, ignore it. It's one of those moments where someone tries to gather everyone into an activity that not everyone consented to. There's confusion about logistics. Some people are stacking mattresses along the sidewalls. Others are placing them up on the platform. It's not clear where they're supposed to go. As I move through the room, I notice a woman in a line or cluster of people. I keep catching her in my peripheral vision. I'm aware that I'm in a dream state, or at least something close to it, and I feel a degree of lucidity. I try to make her look at me, partly through intention, partly through curiosity. I wonder if I can connect with her consciousness, if she's a conscious being within the dream who might sense my signal. She doesn't respond. She doesn't look at me. Eventually, I let it go and move on. I briefly consider using telekinesis, lifting multiple mattresses at once and putting them where they belong. But when I turn around, the task is already complete. The room looks orderly now, even slightly decorated. It almost resembles a church. So I don't intervene. I walk out through the foyer, passing people on the way, including a woman in a wheelchair. I exit into a much larger space, something like an indoor mall, maybe partly outdoors. People are walking everywhere, streams of motion crossing in different directions. At that point, I remember the intention I set before going to bed, to follow where the dream leads next. Instead of directing it, I decide to let it unfold. Vibration interpretation. This dream explores conscious participation without domination. The hybrid space, part shelter, part art venue, part church, represents a collective threshold where people gather temporarily, each carrying different needs, roles, and levels of awareness. The moment of caretaking reflex, followed by release, signals an energetic transition. Roles once defined by necessity soften, making room for presence without obligation. This raises vibration by allowing identity to update rather than remain locked in outdated responsibility. The shared screen incident reflects the porous boundaries between private and collective consciousness. The discomfort isn't about exposure itself, but about premature sharing, content surfacing before it's integrated. Energetically, this suggests discernment. Not everything that arises needs to be broadcast. Attempts at lucidity, making someone look, using telekinesis, are consciously restrained. The dream rewards this restraint by resolving tasks without force. When control is released, order emerges organically. The final expansion into a wide, populated space marks a transition from rehearsal to participation. Following the dream's lead rather than directing it embodies a higher vibrational stance, curiosity over control, receptivity over performance. On a collective level, this dream supports a mode of awakening where consciousness is active but humble, awake enough to witness, gentle enough to learn. DJ Dreamy Spin. This dream felt like a direct response to an intention I set before sleep. I wanted lucidity, but not to dominate the dream. I wanted to see where it would go. What stood out to me was resisting the urge to do something with my powers. I didn't force connection. I didn't lift the mattresses. I didn't redirect the group. And everything still worked out. That felt important. I've noticed that when I'm fully lucid and just doing whatever I want, flying, showing off, manipulating the environment, I don't actually learn much. The deeper revelations usually come when the dream has its own agenda. The dream felt like a middle path, awake enough to choose, but humble enough to listen. For me, raising the vibration through dream work looks like becoming a disciple rather than a director. Someone willing to learn from what emerges, both in dreams and in waking life. Questions to raise your vibration. Where in your life might you benefit from releasing control and allowing events to organize themselves without your intervention? How can you practice being awake and curious rather than dominant when new experiences or insights begin to unfold?